What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you again for tuning in to another video of me in the garage of awesomeness tinkering on one of the trucks. Now in today's video, I'm going to be working on my 5th gen, okay? Now for those of you guys and gals that have followed me for a while, whether it's on Instagram or you know me or whatever it may be, I usually swap out the front bumpers and rear bumpers on these things pretty quick. This one's made it almost a year only because I wanted to try something different that I hadn't done before, and that was running an intercooler guard without the plastic valence, which I got from the guys at CJC Off-Road, had it painted to match, as well as their fog light kit, which allows you to run Baja Designs lighting in a factory bighorn bezel, and everything's plug and play. Now, I do like the way that this setup looks. I mean, it looks good. It looks better than factory, doesn't have that big plastic valence on there, and the lighting at night with those lights is phenomenal, okay? But at the end of the day, the truck doesn't fit the look that I'm going for. And that look, well, some of you may already know, includes a chassis unlimited front bumper, okay? I had this thing powder coated by the guys down at Pristine Powder Coating. They did a phenomenal job, like always. So I'm gonna be putting that thing together to put on this truck. The process, pretty easy, a little time consuming, and definitely a little on the heavier side. The factory bumper, not so much. I'm gonna be honest with you, they're kind of flimsy, right? Maybe it's just me. This bumper that I'm throwing on, not the case. It's a pretty big, thick, beefy son of a gun, and it's going to be fully dressed. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna swap the sensors, obviously, from the factory bumper. I'm gonna be installing some Baja Designs lights that I got from a friend of mine that are basically brand new because he takes very good care of his stuff. These right here, okay? So these will be going in there. I'm gonna have a set of these run into my factory fog lights. I'm gonna have the other set run into an auxiliary switch. I've got all the plugs to make all these plug and play for the factory stuff from Retro Shop. And I've got the block off plate for the front bumper because I prefer to have the airflow over a light bar. And hardware and instructions. Plus, to change it up and do something just a little bit more than I usually do, I got all this plastic loom for all the wiring so I can make sure that all that stuff is as clean as possible, tucked up out of the way, and not vulnerable to any kind of weather conditions, rain, snow, the occasional mud, or anything, okay? So first things first, I gotta unplug everything, which is easy to do. The plug sits over here on the driver's side, and it's all kind of ran into one harness for your park sensors as well as your fog lights. That's the first thing. Second thing, I got to take the intercooler guard off, which obviously, as you guys can tell, mounts up on the driver and passenger side via a bracket that you install, which mounts on a snowplow mount on the back side. Once this is off and everything's unplugged for the sensors and the fog lights, at that point, I will take the front bumper off and start kind of taking everything apart and putting everything into this one. Now, as you can tell, I still have to put this one together, right? You've got some hardware that allows you to mount the wings onto the center section of the bumper, and then all the mounts back here, which are nice with the chassis limited stuff because you can actually put all the hardware in there and adjust the bumper relatively easily, which I'm really a big fan of, so that way I can get that perfectly level look under the grille and the headlights. So that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna bring you guys and gals with me as I do this, and I'm gonna tell you now, it's not gonna be as fun as other installs, but the end result is exactly what I'm aiming for, okay? So stay tuned, bear with me, and obviously if you have any questions or anything, put them down below, but let's go. Well, part of the fun with this is unwrapping it, right? So let's get to it. And there you have the front section. Passenger side. Looks awesome. Driver's side. All right, guys, so I got the factory bumper off, Exhibit A. Just to be honest with you, it wasn't the most fun. I forgot just how not fun it is to take the factory bumper off. literally that's probably going to be the longest part of this entire process. So I got the chassis limited bumper put together. As I showed you guys earlier, I've got the wiring taken off the factory bumper. The tricky part with these, and it's not really that difficult, honestly, it's just positioning the sensors from the factory bumper the same exact way in the chassis unlimited bumper. So I went through and got pictures of how every single sensor is oriented. I basically started off on the driver's side and counted my way over 1 through 6, and that's how I have my pictures done. So I can go through and make sure to put the sensors in the exact way. Once I get the sensors positioned and all the wiring ran, I'll probably take everything back out and loom a couple areas of it just to give it an added layer of protection, and then install the Baja Designs lights in the bumper itself, make sure that everything is good wiring wise, and then at that point I'm pretty much just going to get the new bumper on. Now, I did go to Ace and buy some new hardware to mount the front bumper, as you can tell right here. I went and got all new grade 8 hardware and got some nylon nuts to go on, new washers, everything's ready to go. There are 2 different sizes that I actually found out. The smaller size that goes towards the back of the truck through the frame is actually a 3.5 inch, and then the bolts for the front 3 are actually a 4 inch. So make sure that you don't get the same size if you do end up replacing the hardware on it, like I'm going to, because the back bolts won't actually, if they're any longer, they actually won't fit. You won't be able to thread anything onto them on the back part of where the bumper mounts on the frame. So I also went ahead and, yeah, that reflection off my windshield, it's something else. I went ahead and cleaned everything up in here where the bumper mounts, and just kind of hit everything with just a couple coats of Duplicolor 1634 just to kind of clean it up a little bit, because the bumper will mount through here, right? And it kind of tucks up underneath this body mount right here. But this is exposed. This hole's actually open, and then this one's open still as well. So I didn't want to have to worry about any kind of rust or anything. So I just went ahead, cleaned it all up really well, prepped it, painted it, both driver and passenger side, just to kind of give you a better idea. And it looks good, because I'm thinking eventually I'm probably going to end up just doing the rest of the frame on this thing, as far as just giving a couple of coats of this stuff just to kind of clean it up, because even though it is a newer truck, the frame could look better. So this is the start of that process on this thing, but that ain't happening today. So I'm going to get the wiring and everything finished up and transferred over to the chassis unlimited bumper. I'm going to get the Baja Designs lights mounted in the chassis unlimited bumper, which, by the way, I do have, like I mentioned earlier, I've got the adapters so that I can run this into the factory wiring for the fog lights, and run one of these as a factory fog light, run the other as some auxiliary lights, and then throw the bumper back on the truck. I do have a friend that's going to come over and help me mount this. He's supposed to be here in about another hour. So I gotta get this bumper put together, because I would love to be able to throw this thing on when he gets here, and show you guys the final product. Now, can you do it one person? You can. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. This thing is not light, not by any stretch of the imagination. So having an extra set of hands to kind of hold and position the bumper and align it so you can pop a couple of the bolts through is way easier. Just gonna throw that out there. It's 1,000 times easier. So if you have an extra set of hands, definitely ask them, be nice to them. But I will catch back up with you guys here in a second once I get all this transferred into that. So stay tuned. I'll get all this stuff done. I'll show you the wiring, and then I got to figure out how I'm going to secure it onto the bumper itself so it's not kind of flying around. So stay tuned. Be right back. All right, guys. So I've got the wiring transferred over from the factory bumper to the chassis limited bumper. Let me show you just how easy that is, right? Now, I've got the Baja Designs lights set in on both sides. Thank you, Michael, for helping me do the driver's side. I've got all the wiring done and tucked up in there. This is not the final wiring. I just got to have this all situated this way so I can get the bumper on the truck. Then I can go back through and kind of clean everything up. But I've got everything tucked up high and tight. I've got the factory harness for the fog lights, as well as the sensors ready to rock and roll, all protected as well, because this is going to be a little bit more exposed to the element. So it's ready. So now is the task of setting it on there, putting some bolts through this thing, and then adjusting it and hammering everything down, then getting the liners trimmed. But to kind of give you a better idea, here is the bumper kind of all ready to go. Sensors in, lights in, block off plate in the front all ready to go. Everything's situated and oriented the way that it should. I will say I'm probably gonna have to go back through and put a little bit of super glue on some of these sensors because they do seem to be kind of popping out a little bit. But I'll slide them out a little bit, just put a small dab of super glue in there, put them back in, and I don't have to worry about it moving at all. So next step is getting this on the truck, which I'm not gonna record. I'm gonna be honest with you guys and gals. I don't want you to see an adult grown man struggle that hard. It ain't worth it. So I'm gonna get this on there. I'm gonna get the camera back on. I'm gonna show you the final product, but just so you know, everything for the front of these bumpers, right? 2019 and 2024, Limited, Laramie, Longhorn, all runs through one harness, right? And that's this one right here. And again, it is super, super easy to unplug this, run all the wiring the way that you had it set up before. I even have the plug on the truck side of things, a little bit more protected. I've got it ready to go as well. I did pull the push pins off that secured it right up here on the frame. And then again, there was another one that was kind of right up here. So that way, once I actually get the bumper set in here and this plugged in, I can get this up and out of the way so it's not dangling. But yeah, it's done. It's ready. So now the bumper goes on. Then test the lights because there's no sense putting the bumper on if nothing works. And then I'm good. So there she is, the way it sits right now, bumperless, and still looks probably better than most trucks out there. That's just my personal opinion. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, guys, bumper's on. Everything's wired up, tightened down, lined up, level, unlike the factory one, and ready to go. So without further ado, I give you the updated front end of my 5th gen with some chassis limited goodness, some Baja Designs lights, and the filler plate in the front bumper. Now, I'm gonna tell you why I'm really stoked with the decisions I made on this bumper, okay? First things first, the bumper is stout. I mean, I think we can all agree, it looks great. The lines on it are great. The fitment is phenomenal. And the gaps between the bottom of the grill and the bumper, not really tough to adjust for, but once it's set, okay? First thing. Second, headlights. I did have these Alpha X's painted to match and tinted, so having the white Baja Designs on here, I think just kind of goes with the theme of kind of a paint to match light. Third, now this one I like because this was all me, right? Except for the paintwork, obviously. I got a Longhorn grill on here painted gloss black. So the grill itself, gloss black, obviously white ram lettering. So having the black filler plate down here, in my opinion, I think just kind of matches the theme of the truck and just kind of all goes together really well. I'm a fan of it. I think it flows really awesome. And honestly, I think it just looks great. I really do. I love it. I mean, I'd kind of gone back and forth on, hey, should I paint the sensors on it? Should I paint maybe the housings for the sensors and leave the insides black? But I dig it. I think it just kind of breaks it up a little bit. Now on my wife's truck on the 4th gen, the sensors are white, right? And it does look good on that truck because there's a little bit more black to it on the front end of it. On this thing, I think just leaving the sensors black by themselves, right? I think having those just kind of the way that they're sitting right now, I think it just looks good, right? And I'm not really that picky where I'm going to take them off and paint them. So there you have it. It's done. On, level, and basically ready to party. Now, I am pretty stoked because I did a couple things different on this one than I've done on previous ones, right? First, I actually took the wiring that runs from the truck to the bumper for the sensors and the fog lights and kind of disconnected it up a little ways on the body of the truck, and then re-ran the harness from the bumper itself to that harness that plugs into the truck. Everything is up, out of the way, protected, and it's not coming down anytime soon. So no hanging wires, okay? The second thing I did different, which I wish I had done this on all the other ones I did, but better late than never, okay? And that is I went with full grade 8 hardware on the mounts, right? On all the hardware up front mounting this thing, it's all grade 8. So you've got a 4x1/2. I got 3 4x1/2s that are on the front of the frame, and then I've got 2 3.5x1/2s because the intercooler sits on the inside back here, so you can't go quite as long, but they fit perfect. I got nylon nuts on the backside, badass washers, everything's ready to go, and it looks great. So when I finish actually going through and painting the rest of the frame on this thing and making some changes to it altitude-wise, it's all gonna match. I don't have to worry about taking the bumper off to paint the whole front of the frame or any of that because that's all done and it looks great. In the trucks in the past, there's a bolt hole that actually sits there, which I'll show you right now, which usually kind of looks a little I don't know, not that good. But this hole right here, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is one that actually has a bolt that goes through it for the factory bumper, and usually there's a big ring around it, but everything's prepped, painted, so everything looks good, right? Everything looks that much better on this one than the last one I did, than the one prior to that one that I did, so it's all done, and I could not be happier. So there you go. That is the new updated front end on my on my Mega Cab. There you go. And I will post another updated video on this thing when there's better lighting out, and obviously I get the truck cleaned up, make it a little bit more presentable. The next video, I'm waiting for one last confirmation, and then I'm gonna go over some changes that are gonna be happening in the truck here in the next probably 4 or 5 months, because I can't leave anything alone. I just can't, right? And this right here, yeah, I love it, but it's gonna change. So anyway, stay tuned. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. Hit that subscribe button. I have more content coming on the 07. I'm gonna do a lot more with my 5th gen. I'm gonna do more with my 4th gen. And that's it. So thanks again and have an awesome rest of your week.